you want us to do for that ep, let me know. Right now, today, we have DJ Sam with us. TSG could not make it, unfortunately, but thankfully, I've got another co-host ready on board. How's it going, man?
Good, brother. I appreciate you having me. Obviously, last-minute phone call, but if I can just do half the job of what Taryn does, I'll probably be really good at the show. So let's see what happens.
Well, thankfully, this is going to be a little bit of a short and sweet episode. There's not a whole lot for us to talk about this week. It's been quite busy the past few weeks, and there's a lot going on in the Discord, but we're going to keep it a little short and sweet. Next week is going to be where it starts to get really interesting because we'll be a few days out from the testnet being opened up to a lot more people. Do you think there's going to be excitement around that, or the big excitement is in open beta?
I think open beta will be the most obvious would be the biggest excitement will be for open beta. But I think as more and more people come in, they'll tell their friends, so on and so forth. So I'm excited to get some more feedback instead of just having the core audience. I've played it a very little amount. Obviously, I'm in Bali at the moment, but I've watched most videos, live streams here and there, gone popped in. And then I've heard nothing but positive. And I also know that, as Kieran says, he's sitting at around a 6.57 out of 10, which I sort of agree with. There's a bit to do, but definitely heading in the right direction. So, I'm excited to see what happens whenever the full open beta comes out in a month.
It's definitely not finished, but trending in the right direction is definitely the right way to look about it. And that's all you can ask for at the end of the day. No one can make magic happen overnight. And as long as you're trending, doing well with the improvements you're making, going in the right direction, then that's what matters the most. So I'm glad we're going down that path. Let's take a look at some of our leaks. This one in particular was really interesting. And it's like a pitch black Doka and he's holding a flame. Now,
is this what's this for? Do you know?
See, that's where it gets interesting, is I have no idea what this for. We know that this isn't the standard Doka thing that's in the game, right? It's a pretty standard animation for the Doka and stuff like that. Obviously, this is the sort of thing that wouldn't actually be used in the game either, even for like alluvial combat or catching or whatever. It's not like one of those animations. So it's essentially on its own. And maybe it is going to be just like the NFT artwork that you see in the game one way or another, or maybe there's a little toggle. You can be like, casual animation and non-casual animation or whatever. I don't know. But it's really cool to see them doing different things because I think that that's going to be really important moving forward.
I wonder
if it's building out the game, but the IP. And really, the only reason Pokemon took hold was because of the anime. A lot of people sometimes forget that. And what's interesting is we've seen it twice now. We saw Cyberpunk 2077 and they released the Cyberpunk show, and then millions and millions of people returned to Cyberpunk. And then the Fallout show came out recently and thousands of people returned to old Fallout games in droves. And so media accompanying these IPs is what brings the players in.
I think that's what drives most games, but the core of it is IP. We know that, and that's something that takes many, many years to build. But going back to that Doka thing, I don't know if it's for a promotional artwork or if there's something that's coming that Dimitri's sort of teasing at without saying too much, because the flame click thing that I see there's no use for it that I know of in-game, so it has to be for something outside of that, unless something's coming that we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. Maybe there's an animation like that for most alluvials. It would be a little bit weird for it to be for just one alluvial or one line of alluvials, or maybe just Dimitri just wanted to mess around with fire animations on Unreal, which I wouldn't blame him. That would be a really fun project to do, and so I'm loving it. So we'll take a look at some of the other leaks. These Flish leaks, like you've seen in the thumbnail, they're really cool. I like them. Flish is one of my favorite T0s in terms of design. And he looks so angry. It's the best part. We scroll up. We've got these ones as well. The Fleece are looking happy. I remember one of the original animations for the Fleece where he like licks his eyeball and stuff like that. I thought that was a really nice touch. They've done such a good job with these ones. And you can see just how stunning the render is, really. Like, it's insane.
This is definitely building out the IP, 100%. It's giving the character personality. It's getting people falling in love with these characters, like what their personality is like. So I think it's exciting to see, and it's necessary to have. And Dimitri's doing a great job.
Absolutely love it. And then we have the Holo Panda. Quite a few Holos and Dark Holos were shown to us. I've been throwing them in After Effects and splitting them so you can see both at once. I don't know how many people have noticed that that's what that is when I post that sort of stuff, but I love this one. None of these videos want to work when we're doing the stream, probably because my upload is like capped out or whatever. But it looks fantastic, and I can't wait till Hollows in the Overworld. I think they're going to make a big difference. This is something that the gaming industry has never really done before on an artistic level, in a certain sense.
Like you can see them in Pokemon, like on a card. You know, when you've got a Pokemon card, you can sort of turn it side by side. It gets flashy. So they're taking the same concept of that, but putting it in a game. When I first saw these, I thought it was really weird and odd. But now that I've grown to sort of, I guess, understand it more, it actually looks really cool. And to have that feeling when you're in the overworld and you see one, I would love to see, you know, when these live streamers come out, these gamers, and see their reaction to it, because it's something that's so unique. And like I said, they've taken the Pokemon card and put it in a game. So really cool to see.
And just like, you can't really go wrong with adding more collectibles as long as they get more and more rare. Like, you can't make the Hollow and the Dark Hollow the same rarity, but you can't really go wrong. Like, you go Hollow, Dark Hollow, Super Duper Hollow, Ultra Hollow, you know what I mean? And there's like, the Ultra Hollow is like 1 in a million chance, right? And they're just, it's an extra thing for people to collect now. Not everyone's going to collect them, but it's just like this excitement factor where you go in and you're like, I have a chance to find one of these. And it's going to be monetary for a lot of people, but even for me, it's just going to be like, that would be just a super cool moment, something I'll remember forever, especially if I'm on stream, and that'd be super cool. So, yeah,
it's exactly what Esther just said. Like when he used to pull hollows out of a card pack, it always like was one of the best feelings. So it'll be interesting to see how people feel when they go to the overworld and see it. Just to confirm, dark hollows are more rarer than hollows. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the idea.
That's it's crazy to see if when they come into it as well. So.
Yeah, Esjud says it doesn't quite hit the same in digital. And I think he's absolutely right. It doesn't. I can't put my finger on why. I think if you make a big enough deal about it, I think it would work. For example, if you walk across it in the overworld and it's not just like glittering kind of dark hollow, there's like a giant beam of light flies up and then like all these other alluvials come in. It's just like a big gaming moment rather than just a hollow in the overworld. But at the same time, I think ownership lends itself to it as well.
I'll tell you when it will hit, though, when there is battling in the overworld. Instead of going into an encounter, picture you a hollow in front of you, and then you're fighting it with your ranger or with your alluvial as well, depending on how they do this. I think that will feel even more exciting because it's like a match against it one-on-one. And I feel like the intensity, like when I play World of Warcraft and you're versing like a raid boss or something, I feel like it'll be the same thing as that, because obviously I don't know how they're planning to do this, whether they're going to be a lot harder to kill, more health, more damage, and these sort of things. And when you do take it down and do capture it, that feeling in itself, I think that is the moment where you can fall in love with Illuvium.
I think what was interesting was the way Palworld did it. So in Pokemon, a shiny Pokemon is a weird encounter because you can essentially save before the battle and then go into the battle. And so you can't lose. If you accidentally kill it, that's fine. Go back to your save point and so on and so forth.
That's like giving everyone a trophy when they're like in year 2. Like everyone gets a trophy. That doesn't feel great, to be fair with you.
But yeah, Palworld was really interesting where you'd send out your friend Pal to knock it down its health, but you have to quickly recall your Pal so it doesn't kill it and all the rest of it. You're continuously trying to capture it, and it might kill you before you beat it, and then you're going to lose it forever and stuff. So it's just like really exciting. It's from the moment you see it to the moment you go up, playing your strategy and capture it is an entire loop in itself. And it's actually really interesting.
And remember, like, if you're doing a run, if you don't get it in that run and you don't have enough to destroy it and you don't have the talent or the skill, you leave, you go back to Sanctum Mesa, it's gone. It's not like you can save your point and do it again and again. So I just feel like these moments, they're going to be worth more to the players than just, I mean, Pokemon has a bit of a different demographic because obviously they're going after kids more so and the family aspect, because everyone can win, everyone gets that blue ribbon. Whereas Illuvium, which is in a good way, is because there's digital ownership, these NFTs have value on the blockchain. I feel like they need to make sure they're very hard to capture. I think it should be a whole experience and they're not repeatable or playable. And once it's gone, it's gone. And I think that gives them even more value down the line.
Yeah, and you've also got the side of things where if it's too easy to capture it, then does it become more bottable in a certain sense as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you want to make it impractical for a bot to do that. For example, if you found a hollow every 2 encounters, as an example, and a hollow was typically worth a little bit more than it costs for you to do that, you need a chance to fail that hollow. Otherwise, it's too easy to bot because you can pay with a guaranteed outcome, and then bots are profitable, and then people will bot, and that's essentially, if bots are incentivized, then they're going to exist. If they're disincentivized, then they won't exist, and that's kind of the fundamental principle that comes to my mind. So you need to balance that in a certain way, but I think Illuvium already prevents bots in a lot of ways already, so it's probably not that big of a deal, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to see because with Illuvium Beyond, when that first came out, I remember the very first wave where someone got a holo and they're like, oh my gosh, like I got a holo and it felt amazing. But then we sort of realized that the holos weren't as rare as we thought they were. So I hope they sort of do a bit more of it in the overworld, that I hope these are super rare. And then even the dark holos even more rare. So then these whales, like the whales fund 90 plus 95, 98% of your game. Like it's not the everyday gamers. So I feel like I hope they go that avenue where they're just super hard, super rare, an event. People start smashing their keyboards and chairs in their living rooms, in their studios, because they missed out on this opportunity. I want all of those feelings to come to life in Illuvium instead of going that easy Pokemon, everyone wins a ribbon route. So I'm super excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I definitely hope it's like 1 in every 10 runs minimum. But that being said, they have the advantage of having both kinds of holos. You can make holos a fun prize that people enjoy getting but aren't that valuable, and you can make dark holos the insanely rare, uber crazy capture that people can get, right? And I like the idea of having both of them, because then you can go down that route, because the game might get a little bit stale or boring, or it might get it might not be as fun if you can't find a holo every 10 or 11. I think, although I would have liked Illuvitar holos to be more rare, I must admit that the fact that they were rare but not crazy, it made it more enjoyable to open packs of discs, right? It made it the experience more enjoyable. So having two kinds of holos enables both sides of this.
What happens when you have, like when you're fusing? Do you know if you have two holos and one not holo, you can't fuse it, or do you have like a percentage chance of it becoming a holo again? Do you know the rules of that?
It's a percentage chance, basically, yeah.
Chance,
so
okay.
if you have 1 out of 3, it's 30% chance it goes to holo. 2 out of 3, 66, and if you have all 3, it's 100%.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, cool.
So the other thing is, I don't know how dark holos factor into that. There was speculation a long time ago that if you fuse 3 holos together, now you have like a 1% chance it turns into a dark holo. I don't know.
I mean, I like that idea, because it's like
super cool.
It's a lottery system, and that's what drives. Why do people play pokies? Why do we do this? Because pokies are designed to lose. But if you play the pokies, you're thinking that you're that 1 in a million person who's going to win that lotto jackpot chance. And I hope they take that concept and put it into Illuvium. Like that, if say Dark Hollow is the pinnacle of pinnacle, I hope that is the very low percent chance of winning it. So that way people go, oh, I'll do one more run because you never know, I might find that Dark Hollow. That will drive people to play more and have something to work towards, because you'll never finish the game, which I think is perfect.
Yeah, you never want an end, like a true end, and people can buy everything to have their end if they want. I don't care, but but as you continue to add alluvials, and there's that as well. So we'll start to take a look at some of the other stuff here. So Nick has said a really bullish post here. 2 years runway, AAA cinematic, open beta, post open beta roadmaps, which I'm actually pretty keen for. Overworld heading in the Power World direction. Power World is good in certain ways. Very excited for the Gauntlet game mode, the 8-player mode. I hope we get to play that sometime in June. That would be absolutely awesome. And new game ideation post open beta. I'm excited for this. This phase of new game ideation is going to be really interesting. There's going to be so many people discussing all sorts of different genres and things like that. Me personally, I would love an RTS. I know a MOBA is probably the best choice. But I definitely want to steer away from something like a TCG, generally speaking. But anything regarding Illuvitars could be really cool as well, or anything that would be really fast to produce. Like, we've got 3 games and beyond that are pretty much coming out at the same time. So I'm in Q2. And so getting a 4th, 5th game or whatever out before the end of 2024 would be super cool. And just proving to the world that Illuvium can produce games quickly and iterate fast now that they've got the foundations built would be really bullish for outsiders to see, really, if nothing else.
Yeah, I think with the new game ideation, I think that's probably the most important thing coming up, in my opinion. I just did a recent post about how we need to make sure the Illuvials have a lot of use cases. I think a TCG game would be silly, because there's about 100 of them in the crypto world, plus, like, what's the point of it? I think they need to go down the route of how do we make use of these alluvials. You've already got the foundation. You've already done all the 3D modeling, the animation. Everything's there. It's now just picking the battles of what they do with the next game. And obviously the DAO will make a decision, or they'll make a decision on what's right. And I just hope they pick the route, whatever gives the alluvials the most use cases. That's all I care about. I think whatever we can use them for the most, because I think the overworld's going to be so overrun, and there's going to be a certain amount of overworld runs that eventually people are going to capture alluvials, and there's going to be so many of them on the market and not enough players to use them for arena because it's such a niche. I think that as long as you can take those alluvials and use them somewhere else, and hopefully in this new game ideation, I think that'll be what I'm hoping most for, because I can see the launch going super well. I can see obviously there'll be pros and cons of everything, fixing the bugs for the first 6 months. And then I think the next step after that is what will start driving that Web 2 or the mass adoption. I don't think it'll be the first 6 months. I think it'll be more so 2025, when we've got all the foundation done, the laws in, they've got questing, they've got multiplayer, they've got overworld, real-time fighting or whatever you want to call it. And then I think at that point is when we're ready for Web 2 or the masses to come in. But that's not till 2025, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think you missed Gauntlet. Gauntlet will be a really big deal. So Gauntlet is essentially the TFT clone that Illuvium is creating with all the alluvials and everything like that. It will be completely free to play. No need to own anything to play it. Hyper casual game to get people familiar with the IP, familiar with the creatures and all the rest of it. I think it's going to be, I don't know how good it's going to be, because I don't know how much they're going to change up the rules of TFT and stuff like that. The more I've been in this space, the more I understand what makes TFT so great. I mean, I'm not a big TFT guy myself. I never have been. Yeah. But they've nailed the casual addictive game loop. They just really have.
Yeah.
And so if Illuvium can closely resemble it quite well with our superior IP, Riot's IP is great, but our interesting IP and something that's quite unique to us, then I think it will be a really big deal, especially in the broader Web3. People will want to just play a game that's good on their PC. They don't have that yet. Not just not something easy to play either. A lot of them at the moment, in terms of our competition, are all first-person shooters, which, although it's a broad market, the Web3 gamers, if you ask me, are typically not that hardcore.
Yeah, fair. I mean, you got a valid point. Obviously, there's a lot of extraction going on in the Web3 space. Let's be honest. That's just the facts. In regards to the 8-player mode, do you think that's going to give more utility to the Illuvium overworld assets? Because it is free to play. No one has to put money in per se. I assume there will be rewards for certain leaderboards and stuff. But if we try and combine it with the overworld, do you think the 8-player mode will be enough to use the assets that people are capturing in the overworld to keep driving that, daily active users, the monthly active users and stuff?
I don't think it's necessarily going to be about that. However, they have said that owning alluvials will give them cosmetic differences and things in the game. Now, that's great. That's a bare minimum, if you ask me. That's a bare minimum. That being said, TFT generates all its revenue from in-game cosmetics, right? So it's not that crazy to think people are going to go capture an Atlas so that they get like this free cosmetic to play in their new favorite auto battler game. You know what I mean? So there is going to be some sort of crossover, but they're going to have quite a different audience in a certain sense. So there's that as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with SJud as well. Like, I think and yourself here, the 8-player mode will definitely attract people, get the foot in the door, get them used to the IP. It'll be super fun, super engaging. I just, I think hopefully in the 6 months, 12 months that we still have runway, that we can come up with something that grabs these alluvials and have this use case. Whether it's what does Fortnite do, that 100-player Royale sort of stuff, or I have no idea. I'm sure someone will come up with something. The foundation has been laid, the assets have been created, and whatever the utility is for the alluvials coming up in the next 6 to 12 months, I think is super exciting. So hopefully that 8-player mode will bring in some more players and get used to the IP.
Absolutely. I think Kieran's on the same page as you too. So it will happen one way or another. So the next thing we'll look at is a little bit more of a somber note, where there was some excitement in the Illuvium Zero part of the Discord over the past weeks. And Nick had a message to share where the team wants to offer the best customer service to holders. They want to over-communicate and offer updates while juggling the rest of their responsibilities. And the dedicated team has been grinding for months and years with very little time off. And that everyone you work with wants the best for everyone. Okay, they just do. No one's trying to sideswipe or pull the rug out. No, that's a bad turn of phrase. No one's trying to be dodgy in this space. They're just trying to build the game the best they can. And they're only months away, even though you open a channel and are overwhelmed with requests, opinions, negativity, feedback, and dissatisfaction. So it's like you do all this hard work to try and get something complete, and then you still get met with a lot of negativity, and it's just rough on the team. And it's just, I just hope everyone becomes a bit more positive now, especially in the Illuvium Discord. And I'm definitely going to be trying to make sure that I'm even more positive, because I haven't been perfect in the past either. And I just want to show my support for the team and just share that message with everyone.
Yeah, fair point, I guess. Understandable. Work on hard when you work on something so hard for so long, and people are negative to it. I get the point of view. I'm a person that can easily block out that sort of stuff because I just don't care. But I also understand that sometimes it does affect people. So
hold on.
Holding. What's up, Zaleth?
Okay. So Johnny, the next one here is on the same note, where Johnny says that he just wants to make sure that we're all aware that his absence will not affect delivery. He's stepping back from Illuvium Zero, although from time to time he helps various teams with code. It's been more than a year since he has contributed to the Illuvium Zero code base. From a requirements perspective, Dimitri has things well in hand, and the delivery is in safe hands without it. So he's just going to step back from Illuvium Zero. The negativity was a bit too much for him to want to continue helping them. So,
where's he off to now, though?
He's leaving them in good hands. He's still working on other parts of the game.
Oh, okay, fair.
So the next thing is really interesting, and I've had a lot of people message me or message in this chat and stuff as well that have been like, the tier 5 stage 3s like Ramfire and stuff are too easy to get. Even I saw, I think 85 Scoriox have been captured or something like that. So he says T5S3 would cost you an average $100s worth of fuel to see. Right now, due to progression being rather janky, it's often better and easier to capture them rather than to evolve. And I can wholeheartedly agree with that. The XP progression needs work. The plan longer term is 95 out of 100 of stage 3 alluvials to be byproducts of leveling and fusing rather than pacturing, which is really good. And they're also too common currently due to a bug with spawning. So I had a feeling there was a bug with spawning. Don't get used to it. They're too common right now.
But this is why this is why they do these private betas and these testings. Like, none of this matters. This is why they do it, so they can test things, what works, what doesn't. So only thing that matters if they get it all in check for open beta, which is coming somewhere in the next 50 days that we know of, if nothing gets delayed. Which I wouldn't mind bringing up a topic if possible, because I think, and I know this isn't going to happen, I think it would be better if Illuvium delayed launch till Q3 or even Q4. But we don't have to discuss it. It's just my opinion. We can continue on with the show.
Yeah. So the next thing we've got here is that there's actually 5 people on the team working on Illuvium lore over the years, which I did not know. Like Tabaluga said, he kind of assumed that Aaron had pretty much done the entire, the entire lore. And that's what I assumed as well. I thought Aaron had pretty much been like, not only the head honcho, but pretty much the sole creator of the world building of Illuvium. But apparently there's been quite a few, which is great to hear, because many minds coming together on something just makes for a better outcome 99.999% of the time. And so that's really cool. So I like that. Oh, you guys didn't see that. Sorry. He just said 5, including him over the years. So the next thing we've got is this. So I asked, Dr. Gamer put in a post where he's asking when he can play multiplayer with other people, essentially. And I asked Aaron myself, I said, where is it in priority? He said, chat is high priority for, you might not be aware, but chat is already in private beta 4, just not many people know about it. Multiplayer in Sanctum Mesa is next, and then multiplayer in the Overworld is lower than that. But that being said, he says that multiplayer in Sanctum Mesa is actually a higher priority than Overworld combat. Now, I don't know if it's going to be in for open beta, but since they're hoping for Overworld combat by Q3, we can almost assume that multiplayer in Sanctum Mesa is also going to come out by Q3, if not during open beta. So that is super exciting. And I actually want to bring this full circle a little bit. You mentioned before that you want more utility for the alluvials. Now, personally, I don't think you should build a game on this loot utility that I'm about to mention, but it is valuable to a lot of people. and that is flex and proof. If there is multiplayer in the overworld, there's still the possibility of you can send out your Holo Atlas and have it walk beside you. And now you can show it off to all of your friends in Sanctum Mesa and all the rest of it. I mean, they've already got the animations for them running around in the overworld. I don't see why you wouldn't take that next step and then, go for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just a hunch. I don't know anything, but I think multiplayer, they're probably trying to get in to Sanctum Mesa before open beta is just a hunch. I think if you can do that and if you can show off your Holo Alluvial, that is a great ego utility. I think that will want people will want to buy those ones or capture those ones. So that is a utility in itself because everyone wants to show off. And why do you think people wear, unique armor in World of Warcraft when they go to Ironforge, Stormwind, and all these places? So I think it's a great little thing, and I think it'll make the game feel fuller. If I can hang out with 10 people, 200 people, whatever it is in Sanctum Mesa, that makes the game feel just as good as a Web 2 game at that point. If heading in the right direction, I don't think we're there yet. Like I said, 6 to 12 months, I think this will be a whole different ball game. But I would love to see multiplayer because then I can sit in Sanctum Mesa and do nothing and just chat to people. That's still fun and exciting. I don't have to go and do something every second of the day, and I can still hang out with you can still hang out with your friends and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see if they make it in time. If not, there's Q3. They got plenty of runway, and I'm not even slightly concerned.
Yeah, these sorts of features are not only going to make the game better and slowly edge that iteration and improvement, but it will show it off to other people that are interested. There's a surprising amount of people interested in these sort of features. And so it will show it off to the wider Twitter community and stuff like that as well, for sure. So I'm looking forward to it.
If we all take a step back where we were, like where the team was 6 months ago, 12 months ago, what in 6 to 12 months, what do we all want? We all want the same thing. We want to be able to capture our loot. We want to ride our alluvials probably at some point. We want to be multiplayer everywhere. We want questing. We want real-time combat. The team is listening and they're hearing this and they're implementing these things. Name another studio that does it or that can communicate. It very rarely happens, especially in the Web 2 space. They just tell everyone to get stuff, to be honest with you. But they are listening and they know what people want. So when you just think, okay, look, they just need more time. 6 to 12 months, they've got the runway. They'll do it eventually. They all know what we want. It just takes a bit more time than we would like because we're all impatient because it's TikTok era. So, I mean, it's coming. All of this is coming. So,
what gets me really excited is alluvial hunting seems like it was built in like 6 months, let's say, or like the core parts of it was built in like 6 months, which is quite a bit of work and pretty solid, and they got it done. As you said, in 2025, the game's going to be completely different, and I can't wait. So the next one I've got,
just so I can understand. Sorry, just with that, I want to make sure I'm understanding this right. Is it eventually you go into the overworld, you just fight them there, no auto battler? Is that the eventual goal for this?
Eventual is probably not the way I would put it. It's the imminent goal. I think I don't think they're going to get it in for open beta, but I think that's on their mind. I heard theories about a hybrid where half the alluvials that are set up for overworld combat are going to be overworld combat, and then the other half are going to be the auto battler. You know what I mean? So it's going to be like eventually they'll just keep changing alluvials into overworld combat ready. But it's sounds quite close. It sounds like in Q3 there's going to be no more auto battler, basically.
Well, then that means is alluvial hunting finished then at that point? Is that pointless at Q3? If
I don't know. I don't know how you integrate hunting. That's the question up in the air that no one knows. Me personally, I think you make some of the alluvials, or you can either combine the gameplay loops, or you make some of the alluvials hunting and some of the alluvials not. And by combining the gameplay loops, I mean like you chase an atlas, and then when you finish chasing, you enter a wake, but it's like an instance where you're fighting atlas and a bunch of other things in overworld combat, or you're chasing atlas, and then when you finish, a bunch of other alluvials jump out of the portal, and then you fight like 5 of them. Because what my concern is, you can't fight one alluvial at a time. That would be boring as fuck. Like, really think about it. It would be insanely easy. You've either got to make other alluvials kind of appear, or you just got to really crazily populate it. So when you find an atlas, it's already surrounded by a bunch of stuff. So you got to be careful in that way. But I definitely think you can add hunting into the experience in one way or another, even if it's like Tatopy's not very aggressive, and so it tends to run away, and once you catch it, you can just throw your thing. You don't need to fight it at all. You know what I mean?
And this will come down to the IP of like what their personalities are, right? Like, say for that alluvial, like that should probably run away, and everyone knows that every time that's around, it's going to run away and be a nightmare. I don't know if the hybrid system would work long term. I think it should be one or the other, because imagine if you're going in there and you hate doing the auto battler, you're just going to not go for something. You're like, oh, I can't be bothered. I'm not into that. They'd rather just one way. At the same time, it's very complex. Depending on what the community wants, I guess the community will voice their opinion, and then they'll just go in that direction. But I would love to see like events in the overworld where if it's a boss, or it could be a boss or something like that, or whether it's a hard alluvial or hollow one, where that's a really big fight one-on-one, whether they have ads on top of that. And then in regards to what you said with, you see an alluvial and you got to fight it, you can't just fight it one-on-one, because you compare that to Web 2 games, it's just not going to work, because it's not an enjoyable experience. You need multiple things going on. You want to jump around, area of an attack, you know, flying, and you want all that chaos, because that's the fun part. So I think Q3, Q4, once all of this is implemented and they pick which way they're going to go, which I hope it's the overall combat and less auto battler. That's what I'm excited to see. And that's when I think the hook will start coming in again for 2025, is when I think this game will absolutely skyrocket.
Yeah, and we have mixed opinions here. Crystal saying that she would love to play without the auto battler, and Zaylath wants to keep it in. Even myself, I was talking about no auto battler for the longest time, but I'm really going to miss it. And I really hope it stays in one way or another. But there are ways to do it. There are actually really easy ways to do it. You can make it super optional with things like, I don't want to use the Pokemon term here, but gym leaders or some sort of ranges in the overworld that are essentially quests, right? And you're traveling the overworld and everything is overworld combat. And then eventually you run into a ranger and he's like, do you want to battle? I'll give you these rewards if you win. And you say yes.
Yeah,
and the battle is an auto battle, you know?
That's really cool. I hope that's been mentioned in the Discord. Have you mentioned that to people? I think that's a really great take.
I'm 100% certain TSG has heard me say that. And it sounds like I'm not the only one. But there are ways to do it. But where that gets really fascinating is you can do that for all future IP. Because really the auto battler is a second game, right? And so what happens when you have a kart racer, you have a ranger in the overworld that's like, do you want to get these rewards? Battle me in the kart racer. And then you race him at an AI track, you know? And then you can do that for all the future games. You get people used to them through the overworld. And then if they want to play competitively on those games, they can as well. So I don't know. It just adds more into the overworld and just makes it more exciting overall. And not everyone will do that stuff, which is fine, but there are many that will. I will.
No, I love that. I think it's a really good take, and I hope someone, like, if it hasn't been said, because I like the idea of going to a ranger, then going to auto battler that way, and leaving all the alluvials in the overworld be in the overworld, so it doesn't, like people saying in the chat, where it doesn't break momentum and it feels more fluent. I think that's super cool. I hope that needs to be mentioned in Discord or something, because I like that idea.
Maybe I'll put a feedback ideas thing.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm assuming the team has already thought about it, but it couldn't hurt to
be fair,
just let them know anyways.
They probably thought of everything we've even spoken about way before we have, to be honest with you, but it's good still to bring it up to the community.
So now we have my favorite. We have some numbers. So we'll ignore the first part here, but Kieran has said that 11,800 people have been given access, of which only 3.3 thousand have downloaded, which is quite interesting because from the stats, we know a certain amount of people have got an alluvial at some point, but that doesn't like if 3,000 people hold alluvials and 6,000 people have downloaded, that would be really bad. But if 3,000 have downloaded and 2,900 have got alluvials, that's really good. So where he's saying here is there's a lot of duplicates in the 110K people that have registered for this beta. To be expected, there's probably a lot of people that have been like registered with like 5 creator links to try and get access and stuff like that. Yep. So that's bound to happen.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to finish where out of the 3.3 thousand players, half of them are playing for average of 3 hours every day. And these are great stats for a beta on testnet. Couldn't agree more. And yeah, those are the stats.
No, I mean, there's numbers are numbers, right? Like, it is what it is. There's not much really more to add to that, but good numbers sounds great. Let's see what happens closer to open beta. You're obviously going to get duplicate and bots, so no worries there.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to open beta testnet. I don't know how many people are going to jump into that because, like, a lot of them are going to be like, this is only temporary, you don't want to play. Yeah. Or a lot of them just excited to play and they're going to play. I have no idea. So
that's on the 29th, is it, or something? When is this? Soon,
28th of May, but I guess 29th Australia time, more or less.
So roughly just under 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
So the next thing is I want to present some community content stuff. Hyperion Academy is having a hunt event, Saturday Australia time, Friday night in the US, I believe. It's going to go for about 2 to 3 hours, and they're going to have a live hunting competition. Basically, a bunch of people streaming their game in the Discord, and they might go like, find Axodon, and the first person to find Axodon gets 1 ILV. Then they might go find Cooker, and the first person to find and catch a Cooker gets 1 ILV, and that sort of thing. So it's going to be really fun. Inferno, not this week, so I implore everyone to jump in here. We're also going to be trying to do more game nights in Wildfire at the Inferno time. So it's either going to be Inferno or a game night at that given time every single week, which will be really super cool. But in this case, we're going to show our support to Hyperion. The best part is it's actually in the Illuvium Discord. So it's going to be exciting. Let's get to it. All right.
Sorry, before we go to the next one, can you stay on this page for a sec?
Yeah.
I see you don't follow Arcade.
Don't I?
To the right, Arcade to on the right-hand side. Very funny.
Yes, I do.
It says follow.
That's weird. I follow JP. Anyway, I must have missed it.
Next one.
All right. I follow Wait. I actually need to start unfollowing people. I like follow a lot of really random accounts sometimes.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
Okay, so some VFX that they dropped. Oh, we got sound. Sweet. All right.
Yeah, it's so good, man. So good.
We're building that IP. Every one building block at a time.
Well said, well said.
Honestly, my favorite part about that was easily the sound. I've always wanted to build my own video game. The thing that scares me the most, the sound design. 100%. That just,
I think they've spent a
so
lot of money
daunting.
on the sound too. They've got proper sound team, proper studios.
It's so good.
What do you think of the UI? Just in general of the whole purple background simplicity look.
Branding's important. I definitely think you go simple than not simple, but there might be more you can add. I don't know. My problem with it is they're not like full rendered out. You know, like they're pretty rough renders. It probably takes ages to render something like this out, so I don't blame them. But yeah, that's the big thing for me. That being said, Twitter's probably compressing the crap out of it anyway, so it's one of those things we're going to deal with.
I do know the UI is getting worked on so many different things. Like if you've played Overworld, you'll see like certain, like whether it's gems or armor, like they've still got the image and they're not 3D animated yet, or like, is that all happening before open beta? Do you know, or you're not sure?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that's happening between now and open beta is a giant UI overhaul for the entire Overworld. Whoa, no, sorry. A giant UI overhaul for the Forge in particular, if nothing else. So that's all getting completely reworked. It was also, I was a part of the internal testing team. It was probably the thing that came up in feedback more often than anything else, pretty much straight off the bat. Everyone was like, it's not only hard to navigate it, but it's hard to kind of like navigate it the way I'm used to from other MMOs and that sort of stuff. But the team already knows. They said that they are working on it. We've even seen those leaks from Dimitri of like the Forge building that's going to be made and stuff like that. So it's coming.
Amazing.
So only a few more things here. Firstly, we've got week 15 creator rewards are here. Your boy got, I think, 6th for most engaged creators. So just missed out on an ILV there. It's a bit rough. And then like 13th for most viewed and all the rest of it. So great to see a lot of new names. We've got things like, I think what was really funny from this one is Fresh and Fit came number 4 in most engagement.
Who's Fresh and Fit?
They're a well-known, do I want to say Red Pill podcast?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Some people like them, but they're kind of like, if you like Andrew Tate, you'll like them sort of a thing.
Oh, fair enough.
And so the next one I've got here is actually a bit of a sad note again. Their friend and core contributor and team member Akut, God, I hope I'm not pronouncing that poorly, Key texture artist for Illuvium is facing health challenges, and every donation helps. So you can donate on Ethereum mainnet right here. So I'll drop that in. I probably shouldn't drop that in chat, but it's right there. You know what? I'll actually drop this. That's better. So you can go show your support there. Everyone's showing their support. I found this through Rogier. Oh, he retweeted Rogier. Sorry, Rogier posted and everything like that. You can see that Akud's having a hard time. He's got a young family, so but he's they've said he's recovering well. He's just he's got no income right now, I think, is the big issue. So so mostly good news, but yeah, he needs some support, and that is what it is. So do you have anything you want to say on that, or not really?
No, I retweeted it as well. So yeah, I read the whole thing, and it was really nice of Roger to do this with the whole team as Illuvium. So yeah, I highly commend them for that.
I never actually checked. Should we check how much is in that account?
It doesn't really matter, I don't think, but hopefully it goes to a good cause anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing here is I wanted to shed a little bit of light on Caveman's video. He made an ultimate guide for Illuvium. If you're brand new to Illuvium, this is the perfect starting place. Caveman and his team at Polemos absolutely nailed it. It's fantastic. Not only that, it's like 45 minutes long, and it's really fast paced. Like, don't get that through your head that it's like really slow and drawn out. He gets through every single point one after the other, like rattles them off. It's a really, really great video. I recommend watching it. This Mozart on the thumbnail bugs me a little bit though. Like, they didn't quite finish it off. I'd love for him to give me the file so I can fix it, but that's okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, all of this is like fantastically genius idea, but this Mozart bugs the crap out of me.
You see things that other people don't, but fair enough.
It's one of those things. It's fine. I don't do a perfect job in all my stuff either, but it's just like,
yes, you do, Storyox, in my eyes.
I do love thumbnails. All right. So the next one I got here is from Nick. Okay. For anyone who's not aware, Nick actually stepped down from Illuvium for personal and health reasons.
Wait, what?
We'll talk about that after.
No idea.
Okay. Neither did SJAD, actually, which is quite funny.
What happened? He left?
Talk about it here.
Okay. Keep going.
Okay. So he added more ILV at $78. Also, he's actually like, he's not as active in the Discord, but he's in the Discord quite a bit now, actually. So it's really good to see. So he said, open beta is coming soon. The lore cinematic is coming soon. New overworld combat, new 8-player arena game mode, title ideation for the upcoming game, 24 out of 25 product roadmaps. I don't actually know what this means. Oh, the year 24-25. 2 years of runway and an epic team. Illuvium is going to absolutely do amazing in this 2024 and especially in 2025.
I concur.
So that's all we got for the show. Is there anything else you want to leave us off on before we wrap it up?
No, I think it's a good summary. We're in a good spot. We're all very close. 3 years in the making. They're working their absolute butts off, and yeah, I'm just excited. I just want to see it go live. And then I want it to change. Like, obviously, we're all going to want more and more in Q3, Q4. We always will want more and more. I'll wait for this to come out, wait for that. But yeah, I'm excited to see how the launch goes and everything in between. Like, maybe it goes terrible, or maybe it goes amazing. We have no idea. But yeah, like, I'm just excited.
No more resets.
Yeah,
is a big deal. There's no worse feeling than like playing a game being like, they're just gonna wipe me in like a week, you know? It just feels bad, and it still feels bad on testnet to a certain extent. So even if the game isn't perfect and we've got a lot more to go in the end towards 2024, I'm excited for it just a no more resets period, which would be really, really awesome. So with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us with the Download Illuvium news. We'll be back next week. And yeah, thanks for joining me today as well. It's always great to have someone to bounce ideas off and talk to, and you've had some really great insights today too. So I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Fab.